It is our honor now to welcome to the show Dave Twardzik, champion member of the Blazers 1977 squad. And Dave, welcome to the program. And I guess my first question to you is, when you look back at that team, what do you remember most vividly about that season that continues to stick with you after this time?
Well, there were so many new faces. I think there were 7 new players, an entire new coaching staff, and I think all the dynamics worked in our favor because we were all learning, not necessarily at the same pace, but starting from ground zero, learning Jack's system offensively and defensively. And I guess it's how quickly we clicked and picked up on each other's moves. And I think it goes back to the entire team had a very high basketball IQ.
And at what point during that season did you feel that this team could be something special, that this team has that championship caliber feel to it?
Well, I don't know about championship caliber feel. It's funny, in looking back, I was fortunate enough to go to Indiana with Jack Ramsey as an assistant coach when we went to the Pacers. And we often talked about the championship team. And he said that he told Jack McKinney about a month into the season that he thought we could be pretty special. I don't think as players we felt that, because as a team, Jack wanted us to have a goal, and our goal was to actually just get into the playoffs, because Portland had never been in the playoffs before. We had so many new faces and everything, so the initial goal was just to get into the playoffs. I think after we won the Chicago miniseries, we started to believe a lot more that we had a chance, and then we beat Denver and then swept LA. So, I don't think it was until late in the year where we felt we had something special.
Dave, as you're kind of taking us down that road to the championship, if I'm following what you're saying, were there just 3 series to win and you called one a mini series? Can you just kind of walk us through that road from the first playoff game to the championship in terms of what it took, who you beat, and how long those series were?
Yeah, well, Michael, the first series was the mini series with Chicago, and I think we won. We had home court, so we won at home, lost in Chicago, then won the third game back in Portland. After that, we played Denver, and I think that series we won the first game in Denver, and then I think we ended up winning that series 4-2. Go down to LA, and we swept LA. And then after that, we played Philly, and the series went 2 games in Philly, and they had beaten us pretty handily. And I think everybody thought that the next 2 games were in Portland. It was just a formality of going back to Portland, and then Philly would come away kind of sweeping us. But I believe we beat them. We trounced them both games in Portland. I think we won 1 game in the 20s and maybe the second game in the, might have been either high 20s or in the 30s. Game 5 went back to Philly. And typical Philly fans, we were beating Philly in the third quarter pretty handily. Fans started leaving. Philly made a little bit of a run, but I don't think the game was ever in doubt. So we ended up winning the third game, and then the game 6 was back in Portland, and that went down to the last second. They had a couple chances to win it with shots, and we ended up sweeping them. We lost the first 2 and then won 4 in a row.
And Dave, I'm very curious because you were drafted by the Blazers in '72, and then you joined the Virginia Squires in the ABA. But then when the ABA folded in '76, you signed back with the Blazers, and then obviously we know what happened in '77. Have you ever thought about that path specifically for yourself and the impact of maybe the ABA folding and sort of all the dominoes that fell into place where you found yourself on that '77 championship team?
Yeah, Jordan, the interesting thing is, looking back, I don't think I would have changed a thing. I signed with the ABA because Old Dominion's in Norfolk, Virginia, and there was an ABA team in Norfolk. It was in Washington when I was a junior, and I think they moved down to Virginia either my junior year or senior year. And they played at our field house because there was an arena being built downtown that was about 10,000 seats, and that wasn't finished until my senior year. So they played at our field house, and I actually worked for the Squires. I was a stat runner, so at timeouts, I'd be the guy kind of coming around and giving you stats, the updated stats. And so I got to know quite a few of the players. And following the ABA, because it was in town, the ABA had smaller guards. NBA at the time, it was a little bit bigger guards. So I ended up signing with Virginia. And I remember meeting Harry Glickman with my agent. I flew up to New York and met with Harry. And I didn't know anything about Portland. Obviously knew about the NBA because I certainly followed pro basketball. And Portland was going to give me a little bit more money over 2 years. And back then, I think the difference was going to be about $5,000. But back then, the salaries, my first salary was $30,000 a year. So I ended up signing with Virginia for a little bit less money. And then after 4 years, there was the merger, and my Virginia folded, and Portland retained my rights. So I ended up signing with Portland, and you really couldn't have scripted it any better.
And I'm curious because we're watching this B-roll of the team winning and celebrating. What did you do that night when the team, you guys win the NBA title? What did you do to celebrate?
Well, I'm not much of a party guy. But after the game, went home, and then we all met for dinner downtown. And I'm not sure if it was Jake's or maybe it was a steakhouse downtown. And that basically was it. Now, the thing I do remember, I fish and I hunt. So 3 days later, I went out to Eastern Oregon, and I'm doing some fly fishing and finished for the day. And I'm in one of the natural hot springs out there, and the road is about half a mile away. I see a bus pull up. I don't know where it's from, and about 5 or 6 people get out of the bus and they come to the hot springs. So they get in and we start talking, and one guy goes, "You know what? I think I know you." I go, I don't think so. I mean, where are you all from?" And they were from Tillamook. And I said, no, I'm not from Tillamook. I actually live in Portland. So we started talking about some other things, and the guy looks at me and goes, "You look awfully familiar." I said, "I don't know why. I mean, again, I'm from Portland. You're from Tillamook. I don't think I've been down to Tillamook a couple of years." He goes, "Trailblazers." So here I are in Eastern Oregon. A bus from Tillamook comes up, and I think what it drove home, the point it drove home to me was how it wasn't just a championship for Portland. The entire state just went crazy. And the thing I remember is the parade the following day, where people were hanging off a light post, hanging out of buildings. We were all, Johnny Davis and I were in one car with my wife, Kathy. As we're going the parade route, you couldn't see the road. As you move forward, the crowd would kind of disperse just enough to let the car go. You look behind you, you couldn't see the road. They filled in right behind you. It's something you'll never forget.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And, you know, fans here will get a chance to relive some of that magic when you guys come back and celebrate the 40th anniversary. When you look forward to this evening approaching, what are you most excited for? What's going to be something that you can't wait to experience yet again with members of this team?
Well, the interesting thing, when we get together, it's like no time has passed. We have not skipped a beat. Whatever was funny to us back in '77, we pick up on that, and it's still funny, and we crack on each other the same way. So the camaraderie and the tightness of the team, the cohesion of that team was unbelievable. I think Lionel Hollins one time said, "We're such a tight team that if somebody sprains their right ankle, all 11 guys start limping." And that's kind of the way our team was. And when we get together after not seeing each other for whatever period of time, 5 years, 2 years, 10 years, it's just like no time has elapsed at all. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of lies told, and you just have to kind of reel guys in a little bit, but it's going to be a blast.
And I'm curious, you mentioned not seeing each other for 5 or 10 years. Have you guys periodically celebrated this championship at various milestones, maybe the 5 or 10 year mark, or is that something that you guys will stay in touch about?
I think we've had 2 or 3 reunions. I know Luke, when he was alive, put together a couple reunions, and then the foundation, David Lucas, has put together one either last year, 2 years ago, I think. And it was great. But as far as keeping up with guys, I've hardly had any contact at all. Every now and then I would see, like Wally Walker when he was involved in the league. But I have not seen a whole lot of the other teammates. So it's going to be good to get together with.
Well, Dave, we can't wait to have you in-house to celebrate with you and the rest of that championship team. So thanks again for taking time to join us tonight.
All right, anytime. Good talking to you, and really looking forward to this.